Thank you very, very much, Brittany, for that very nice welcome, and thank you to all for having me here. And so there's a fifth on the way. So you've talked to my wife more recently than I have. I didn't know that. That's great. Congrats. So look, we're talking about work-life balance. I can't think of a better way to open up that talk than to share with you all how incredibly great I am at work-life balance. And no story probably shows that better than a talk I was invited to give recently. It was to a group of business students at a university. And I was invited to come and speak about how you try to keep it all together and how you can do this. And I thought, well, this is great. And I'm going to open that talk with, I'm going to share with them what I will have done that day before the talk, which will just be awesome. It's going to just be great. And I knew where the talk was. I had to drive about an hour to get there. And I planned out my whole day. I'm like, I'm going to see my kids in the morning, see my wife, make all my business calls. I looked and I found a trail, a mountain biking trail on the way. And I thought, this is great. I'm going to go. I'm going to get an hour and a half, 2-hour mountain bike there. I found a friend who lived nearby. I called them up. I was like, can I shower at your place? Great. We won't be home. I'll get the security code. And I was like, and I planned my food. I packed it. I had my protein shakes. I was like, man, I'm going to own this. This is going to be awesome. I'm going to walk into this talk and tell them what I just did. I've got it all together. And so I made my way there. I did the mountain bike ride, had a great ride, had my protein shake, got to the house, got in, got out my, my razor and my shaving kit, and I was like, this is fantastic. Laid out my suit, which I had picked out in advance. I'm like, man, I'm owning this. I'm all over this. Okay, great. Got it all laid out. Let me just grab my underwear. Oh, I forgot to pack underwear. I was like, I can't believe this. I'm about to go and give a talk, and I can't believe it. I've totally screwed this up. I didn't even pack underwear. And I had dialed it in so well, like numbers-wise, that I had zero margin for error. There was no time left. And so you know where this story goes. I ended up giving that talk, oh commando. And I won't tell you where it was. And I appreciate everyone in the front row was like, please take a step back. So let's celebrate the good news of today. I'm wearing underwear. All right? So round of applause. I'm wearing underwear. So it's a good day. And it's a good day so far because I've made it out of the house and I'm wearing underwear. Now the reality is work-life balance is in many ways this purple unicorn. It's something that we're all kind of chasing and striving for. And I think the way that the conversation has been set up has been setting us all up for failure. Because the conversation is always based on prescriptions. It's always based on a series of do's and don'ts and a bunch of rules. And it's always setting these standards for us that I think, to be honest, we're always failing at. I know that I fail at them perpetually. My journey into fatherhood was a fast and furious one. All right, so on my 30th birthday, I was a single guy, unmarried, no kids, and I was working in downtown Toronto as a lawyer. By the time that I was 35, I was married and I was a father of 4. So it was like and there was no twins in that. We literally had a baby a year. That praise goes to my wife. She's amazing. And that was a really, really crazy journey. And during the course of that journey, there's been lots of ups and lots of downs. It's been very difficult. And I promise you, when I say that so many times during the course of that, I've just said to myself, I can't keep doing this. Like, there's no way that I can keep this pace going. It's impossible. I don't know how I'm expected to do this. Because you feel that you're being pulled in all these different directions. And in the midst of this, by the way, I've made a couple career changes. We've moved cities, we've moved houses. We've had our financial situation be better and be worse. I have aging parents. My father was diagnosed with cancer during that time. I took over his business in the middle of that. And here you are trying to be everything to everyone. I'm trying to be a super dad to my kids. I really love them. I want to be there for them. I'm trying to be a great husband to my wife. She's amazing and I want to be there for her. I'm trying to be a great son to my aging parents. I'm trying to be a great brother to my brother and my sister. I'm trying to be a great friend to my friends, and I'm also trying to keep going what I want to do. I have certain ambitions of stuff that I want to do. I was a varsity athlete growing up. I love sports. I love practicing law. I like business. I want to be able to do all these things. And I feel like you're just perpetually disappointing yourself or disappointing those around you. And what I have come to realize, what I want to share today, is not that I have all the answers or I figured it out. I haven't. And I don't think anybody has. And if someone says they've got it all dialed in, give them time. They'll realize they haven't. This is an ebb and flow. This is a journey. And I think part of the process is enjoying the journey and appreciating and recognizing, hey, we're here. We get to live this journey. How lucky are we to be here? How lucky are we to be given this opportunity to be able to do that? It's phenomenal. So really what I want to share today is not that I have the answers. What I want to share today is some of the principles that I've learned along the way that have helped me and continue to help me. And you're happy to use these principles. I'm happy to have you use them. If they are applicable to you, please run with them. You'll probably improve upon them. And I'd invite you as well to come up with your own set of principles, your own guiding lights, if you will, that help you. And here's why that works. A prescription is aiming for perfection. And if you think about perfection, you're not going to hit it. You're going to fail. No one is perfect, sorry to tell you. And if you go from prescription, aiming for perfection, and you get to failure, when you fail, you reach unhappiness. So you're perpetually walking around talking about all the things you haven't done because you didn't hit it. You didn't do what you said you'd do. When you think about principles, though, principles are a set of guiding lights, if you will. Principles, when they're done right, lead to practices. And practices, once you get it down and you start thinking, this is my principle, it's malleable, it adapts a little bit. Practices lead to progress. And progress leads to happiness. Because at the end of the day, if you feel you're a little further ahead this week than you were last week, don't do it minute by minute. Don't do it, necessarily day by day. But if overall the trajectory of where you're going on these different areas of your life, if you feel that you're progressing, you're going to feel happy overall, as opposed to aiming for perfection. And the reason this is all true comes down to a really simple notion. It's a beautiful metaphor. It's not my own. My father-in-law gave it to me and I love it. And that is that life is so much more sailboat than it is motorboat. And if you think about the stage in life that all of us in this room are at, right? Which is we all have undoubtedly family concerns. We all have some of our own ambitions, right? We all have financial concerns. We all have a lot of the same worries. I distill those down to what you saw, obviously, in the promotion for today's talk. I've called them my 3 Fs: family, fitness, and finance. At the end of the day, family to me is my immediate family, my wife, my children, but my parents, but it's really relationships. It comes down to relationships. I put that into the basket of family. Fitness to me has nothing to do with body fat percentage or how many hours you can mountain bike or run. It's really your health, your mental health and your physical health. I'm going to put that in the category of fitness. And finance is really your financial well-being and your professional aspirations and goals. That's that category. And I think that if I got each one of you in a one-on-one interview and I found out from each one of you what it is that matters to you most, it would probably land somewhere in those camps. And it might not all be equal, that's fine, really, but it kind of comes down to that's really what we all care about. And I think the world keeps telling us you can't have success in all of them. The world is perpetually telling us that. And the examples before us, I think, are setting us up for failure because they're saying, if you really want to be successful at work, well, you're going to have to ignore your kids to do it. And if you really want to be a great athlete, well, you're going to have to miss time with your family to do it. And if you want to be great at family, okay, great, you're going to be a super mom, you're going to be home all the time, well, you can kiss your career goodbye, it's not going to happen. And I take the contrary view. I say, look, if we look at the overall, if we look at the arc of a lifetime, and we think over the course of the arc of a lifetime, I want to achieve success in all of these areas, it's very possible. We just have to be deliberate about it and principle-based about it. And back to this metaphor of the sailboat. You see, what's interesting, and where I was when I was a 30-year-old with no other family and no other concerns, was I was very prescription-based. I'm going to work out this much today, I'm going to build this many hours today, I'm going to do this and do this and do this. And what I learned over the next 5 years, becoming a father 4 times over, by choice, by the way, I love my wife, I love my kids, this is what we wanted to do, we figured out how it's happening. And clearly we're still engaged in that practice because we've got baby number 5 on the way. But what I learned during that time is that you have to be able to deal with life as it comes at you, because life is not that static. Things happen that you can't expect. So if you say I'm going to work out every single day for 30 minutes no matter what, well, when your kid's up all night throwing up, or when you get a call because your parents are sick and you got to run to the ER and you spend all the time in the ER, the next morning you're not going to probably get your 30-minute workout in. And if you're prescription-based, you're going to be disappointed in yourself because you didn't do it. If you're principle-based, you recognize, look, I'm a sailboat. I got to tack a little bit to the left. I got to adjust a little bit to the right. I got to figure this out. But you stay on course. You keep saying, that's the island that I'm getting to. And the waves have changed. The wind has changed. I'll adjust my sail. It's okay. Not, I'm a speedboat, I'm a motorboat, I'm only going in this direction. The waves have changed. Great, rev up the engine. Revving up the engine is a problem. So I want to share with you, with that intro, some of the principles that I have found have helped me over the past few years. And again, feel free to come up with your own, use mine, adapt mine, whatever the case may be. So here's guiding principle number 1. In life, something is always better than nothing. Something is always better than nothing. And that applies to family, and that applies to fitness, right? And that applies to finance. So the great example, of course, when it comes to finance is the value of compound interest, right? I think we all have a general sense of what that is. I've got 4 kids. I've got to figure out how I'm going to get them through university. I can't afford to send all of them to university if I just start saving then. At the same time, I've got a pretty limited amount of expendable cash at this stage. You can only imagine how much I'm spending on everything else, and you're all in the same boat. So what I have decided is that some is better than none. I would like to be putting in X amount, but I don't have it available. So I made a commitment that no matter what, every single week, I will put in a payment into my kids' education fund for each of them. And just by way of numbers, those numbers can be $5, $10, $20, $100, it doesn't matter. The reality is some is better than none. Because if I wait until I have the amount that I want, the prescription, the right amount, well, my kids are going to be long gone and I'm going to be too late. I'll have missed the boat, no pun intended. And just for kicks, $48 a week, by the way, in Canada, $48.07 a week in an RESP, right? $48.07 every single week for the course of 18 years in Canada in an RESP will work out to, at about 4 or 5% interest, work out to about $80,000 by the time your kid's 18 or 19. The math works. Compound interest is on your side, and in Canada we have this wonderful benefit where you get a grant if you put 20. And how I arrived at that number of 4807 was it's 2,500 divided by 52 equals 4807. 2,500 is the magic number at which if you do that, Justin Trudeau will give you 500, so now you're at 3,000. So many of you know this already, but the principle is applicable across the board, whether it be for your retirement or for your kids' education. The same principle is true when it comes to fitness. So I try to exercise every single day. And when I was a two-sport varsity athlete in school, I had the luxury of being able to spend 2 to 4 hours of exercising. I could do whatever I wanted to. Even as that 30-year-old guy who was a lawyer, I could work right as much as I wanted to. I can guarantee you right now, as a father of 4, with a bunch of stuff on the go, that's not happening. So rather than me getting discouraged and sticking with my prescription of saying it's got to be a 2-hour workout every day or a 1-hour workout, whatever the case may be, or looking at what my other buddies are doing, I just say, look, my goal is some is better than none. And if I'm granted the 2 hours to jump on my mountain bike, I will absolutely take it. But when not, I'll work out for 2 minutes because something is better than nothing. So every day I'm going to do some form of physical activity. And very often that is literally 2 minutes of push-ups while I'm brushing my teeth or right after I brush my teeth. Wow would be hard. I'll work on that though. There's a good challenge for me. Right? And that's the same and true for all of you. So set a goal. Every single one of you can do some form of physical activity every single day. Now I keep talking about fitness, but this could be true of something else that you enjoy. If you really enjoy art, or if you really enjoy music, or if you really enjoy reading, if there is some activity that you do and you just think, I just need to carve out an hour of time, I just need to get that, it's not happening, my kids keep taking away from me, life keeps taking away from me, the commute, work, email, whatever. There's a million different things that can take away from what it is we love to do. Something is always better than nothing. So find that. Do something for 2 minutes. Because the net result is, A, you've done it. There's an objective result that comes from that. But there's also a psychological benefit to that. You now walk through the rest of the day being like, I did something for myself today. I took a step forward to that. And today it was 2 minutes. Maybe tomorrow it's 4. And hey, maybe tomorrow it's 1. But the point is, it'll be something. This is true of relationships as well. So when you think about family, and I don't know if you all experience this, but I certainly do. In case you haven't noticed, I'm a bit of a chatty Cathy. And my wife is too, so we enjoy our time together. And as a dating couple, we spent a lot of time talking. Well, guess who's kind of gotten in the way of us talking? I'll give you 4 guesses. I cannot believe how much kids want to monopolize my time. It's like they want my wife and I to not talk. They want my wife and I to not get along. They never want us to see eye to eye. They never want us to cuddle. They never want to be there. They literally create a wedge in between you. You all recognize this. Like, I can't believe how it is that like they find the one spot, like the one time I'm sitting beside my wife and they just want to dive in there and get in the way of us. And as soon as my wife and I lock eyes and have a wonderful conversation, my kids want to come up and tell us the same story for the 17th time that morning. And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? I just want to talk to my wife. And so it's very difficult to carve out that time, to carve out that date night or whatever the case may be. So I have learned that something is better than nothing. A, I fight tooth and nail for those date nights when I can get them. But I also know that if I got a pocket of 3 or 4 minutes in the day, I'm picking up the phone, I'm going to check in on my wife, ask how she's doing. Because I know that if I can just have that touchstone, just that moment with her to just like, how's your soul? How's your soul? Good. We can connect. Maybe she'll make me laugh. Maybe I'll make her laugh. I know that by the time I get home that night, we're like feeding the kids, we're bathing the kids, we got something going on. It's like 9 o'clock at night before we're like finally sitting on the couch. And let's face it, all you want to do then is not talk to another human being, except the heavenly hash bucket of ice cream that's in your face. That's the only conversation you want to have. Right? So I've learned that I've got to work really, really hard to recognize that something is better than nothing. So I'm always looking for those pockets in my relationships. I do it with my friends, I do it with my family, and I do it with my kids. I'm always looking for that touchstone moment that I can have with them throughout the course of the day, through the morning, because some is better than none. Principle number 2. In life, you've got to run your own race. I can't stress that enough. That advice was given to me by a guy who was my mentor when I was a young lawyer, and he continues to be one of my best friends. It is hands down some of the greatest advice I've ever heard. Run your own race. What does it mean? It means stop looking to the left and looking to the right and trying to keep up with the Joneses. Of course that applies to finance, right? And that's where that expression comes from. But it applies to other areas of life too. It's all too easy to compare ourselves. Well, Sally over there, her kids are in these different programs. Why? Maybe I should, my kids should be better at ballet. My kids should be better at skating. Or why is it they can do this? Why are they taking these vacations and we're not? The game of comparison is nothing but a brutal and violent game to play. There is no positive result to comparing yourself to your cohorts in that fashion. All it'll do is leave you discouraged. There is zero benefit to it. Don't engage in it. Run your own race. Who do you want to be? How do you want to live your life? Where do you want to go with your life? What kind of relationships do you want? What kind of activities do you want? What are your financial goals? It's your race to run. And I know for me personally, how I answer this question, and I'm a big question asker, it's what I do for a living as a lawyer. I ask questions all day long, and I do that in my own head most days. So the question that I often ask myself as I'm trying to decide how to spend my time and where to spend it is this. And feel free to use this question if you think it'll help you. Here's the question. It sounds silly and cliche, but I think it works. If you want to be wise, listen to the you that's 75. If you want to be wise, listen to the you that's 75. And here's why that works. The 75-year-old version of you will have hindsight to be able to look back upon your life and tell you where you spent your time wisely and where you spent it poorly. Because they'll have the benefit of time and perspective. And if only we could give ourselves that gift of perspective in the here and in the now and in the moment, we would do better. Because we live life like this. It's right here in front of us. We feel like we have to make decisions. We feel like we have to attend things. But the reality is if we have that benefit of looking at the end of the life and then looking backwards, we'll make wiser decisions. And I know for me personally, that moment in time when I realized that more so than ever occurred in what was seemingly a benign moment in the course of my family. It was in one of those busy days where I came home from work, I had a lot on my mind, I had a lot of stuff I had to get done. And I used those words, I have to get this done, this has to get done. And who's uttered those words before? I have to get this done, like this is gonna happen, right? And it's prescription based and it's gotta get done. And but I was like, I'm gonna be home for family because I have to be home for family dinner, right? You gotta be there for family dinners. But I wasn't engaged, I wasn't there spiritually, mentally, in any other way. I was just there physically. And as soon as dinner was done, like I have to get, going to work. So the kids went away, my wife took the kids, and I was gonna start working on what I was working on. And then I heard a sound that I'll never ever forget. And it's a sound that everybody in here who either has kids or has been around them will know. It's that infectious laughter of the true, genuine joy of children. Who knows what I'm talking about? That joy of just kids just giggling and giggling and giggling. And you're just like, wow, they have such joy in their heart. This is incredible. I can't believe it. And I heard that sound from upstairs. All 4 of my kids were just howling and just having a total giggle fest up there. And I was downstairs launching into some project for some other person. And the voice in my head was, Paul, when you're 75, what would you be willing to give to travel back in time to this moment? To have this hour, this moment back in your life? And it brings me almost to tears when I think about it because it was like such a awestruck moment, if you will. I was like, what are you doing, man? Like, what the hell are you actually about to launch into project-wise that is so important that you're gonna miss a moment that you would give your life for down the road? And I just thought, unless what I'm doing right now is so necessary to keep the lights on and food on the table, which usually it isn't, it can wait. I'm gonna go hang out with my kids and I'm gonna enjoy this laughter. I'm gonna have a good time. And you know what? I, to this day, have no idea what it was that I had to do that night. But I know that I went up there and had that time with my kids. And I think about that all the time. So every time I make a decision as to where I'm going to spend my time, I just think, what's the 75-year-old version of me telling me to do? Where does he want me to spend my time? And again, it's not prescription based. Because there might be a party on a Tuesday night for work. And you might be like, I kind of have to go to this party, I don't really want to. The 75-year-old might be like, skip the party. You're not going to be at the funeral, half the people at the party. Go home to be with your kids because you're going to enjoy that more. Or go home and read a book because you're going to enjoy that moment more. Sometimes, though, the 75-year-old might be like, this is a great party. It's going to be a great opportunity. You get to connect with a lot of friends you haven't seen in a while. So the right answer isn't go home versus stay late. The right answer is, what's the 75-year-old version of you going to tell you at the end of your life? So I leave that with you. Run your own race. Think about the 75-year-old version of yourself. All right, last point. Gratefulness leads to greatness. Gratefulness leads to greatness. All of this starts with gratitude. A recognition, I referenced it and alluded to the beginning, a recognition and a reference to the fact that we're here. we're breathing, we're living, we're in the game. Teddy Roosevelt had that great expression, right? Credit belongs to the man in the arena. If you don't know the expression of the full quote, go read it. It's a beautiful quote. And that's true. It's obviously, he says the man in the arena, but it's the man and the woman in the arena. If you're in the game, if you're engaged, you're in the struggle. This is great. What an opportunity. Let's not view it as an obstacle that we have a family and that we have a job and that we have ambitions. Let's view it as an opportunity. Wow, I get to go to work today. I get to have to rush home to be with my kids today. I get to carry a baby, right? Easy for me to say, but no, but the reality is I get to be a father of 4, right? I get to have a couple of day jobs. I get to provide for these people. I get to go out and do an activity that I want. Rather than me being perpetually disappointed at all the things I have to do or all the things I want to do that I can't do, I'm excited about the things that I can do. Gratefulness leads to greatness, because when you're grateful for things, it automatically changes your mindset. You instantly have a voice of appreciation, an attitude of appreciation. You're thankful for what you have. As well, gratefulness makes you want to give back, right? If I walked up to you today, I don't know your name, ma'am, but if I walked up, what's your name? Ghislaine. Okay, I picked the hardest name in the room. Good job, Paul. Maybe let's go with name tags next time. I was hoping for like a Debbie or a Sue. Are there Debbies or Sues in the room? Okay, good. But if I walked up to you, Ghislaine, and I said, hey, I've got this wonderful gift for you, you'd be appreciative, you'd be happy, and you'd probably feel a sense of, oh, I'd like to give something back to him. That's very nice. So when you look at the things in your life that you think are causing you this strife and this anxiety of, oh my gosh, I have to rush home to my kids, and I have to take care of my parents, and I have to get to work, and I have to respond to this, you feel a sense that they're taking something away from you, which is the opposite of gratefulness. And whether you realize or not, that feeling is actually a feeling of resentment. And resentment, I think, is cancerous. I think it leads to bitterness. But I think if you view it instead of I'm grateful to have them, then you feel the sense of they're giving something to me. I want to give something back to them. And that's why I think gratefulness leads to greatness. The other aspect of that is that I think you need to have a certain level of gratefulness over your own efforts and what you've done. I think there comes a point in time in the course of your day when you need to congratulate yourself and thank yourself for what you are doing. And this goes full circle to what I said at the very beginning. And this is kind of where I'll close this talk. I said you've got to be able to have an attitude that is principle-based and not prescription-based. Prescription-based is telling you all the things you should be doing and thus you're not doing, because all of us are failing, right? Principle-based is let's look at this and let's be grateful for it. Because if you're grateful for it, you're grateful for what you've done. So when you walk into work and your coworker says, oh, I just had a great morning, I just finished another 10K run, and all you did was nothing, you're going to think, oh, wow, right? Like, I don't feel good about myself. This person's doing all this. They're out there doing this. We know where those thoughts go, right? We all have them. But if you have this grateful attitude, why? Because you've done something and something is better than nothing. And because you're running your own race and you know what it is that you want to do, you look back at that person and said, awesome, I danced for 7 minutes in front of the mirror today. That was my exercise today. It was an awesome day. Great workout for you, great workout for me, awesome. You feel great about yourself now, right? Because you've got a sense of gratefulness and you know it's a great day. And just like me today, I'm here today, and it's not I gave a talk or I did this or I did whatever. It's like, man, I'm wearing underwear. Great day. Thank you very much.